Hey everybody, welcome. Let's get started. So, as you guys know, today's topic is 7 ways you could be sabotaging yourself. So, maybe this is a fancy word for some of you. I got the dictionary definition right here. And it says sabotage, deliberately destroying or deliberately destroy, damage, or obstruct something, especially for some kind of advantage. Let's skip that meaning. Um, Sabotage is when we get in the way, if I could say it like this, oftentimes subconsciously get in the way of our own success or our own elevation. Anytime we have an opportunity to succeed and something benign sneakily comes up and almost if I could say short circuits that ability for us to succeed, that's a problem. And we do it, believe it or not, way more than you think. I think sometimes people, when they think of like, what am I not doing right in terms of success? We think of these big, extravagant ways that we literally intentionally, consciously stop success. And if it was that easy to identify, we wouldn't be hiring coaches and counselors and mentors to help us identify these weak blind spots. And this is another reason why I definitely encourage people to work with another person to help them pinpoint and identify like patterns or things they're seeing where the other person, like the client, you, whoever, is getting in the way of success. Because, like I said, a lot of times we do certain things generational, it's a learned pattern. Maybe the culture, family we come from, we tap out, let's say, right here around success. And it is really hard to just magically elevate unless someone helps us identify what's going on. And I'm not just talking about like today's video is not about specific strategic things you could do to succeed or be successful. That's not today. Today is things you should probably look out for if you want to identify how you might be holding yourself back. Because like I said, if it was so obvious, we wouldn't be looking into what sabotage is. And the more I start to succeed and heal, I'm always just astonished to see these patterns of these little creeped up strongholds that try to still pull me back into my old, pull me back into the old way of thinking and doing and being. Of course, I've talked about core beliefs many times. We all have these like negative core beliefs that get in the way of us being successful. And the problem with negative core beliefs is if you believe, let's say, you're only worthy of this much, it doesn't matter what you try to do. Again, you will always tap out at receiving this much because you don't have a container big enough to accept whatever it is that you want. And so, as soon as your success starts to go higher than what you think you're worthy of, or whatever core belief you have where it maxes out, what happens is nope, you will do something to destroy, to sabotage, if I could say, light it on fire, explode, be gone. So let's get into what I typically see when I'm working with clients. So the first one is choose to stay ignorant. I wanted to say willingly or willfully choose to stay ignorant. What do I mean? There is so much information out there about success, how to elevate, how to grow. We live in the information age where there is literally an abundance of literally everything. All we have to do is commit ourselves. Like the Bible says, commit your ways to the Lord and like let God direct you. And a lot of times we will identify like, oh, I need to have more confidence, or I think I need to enter a healing season. Like we go into this like broad general maybe discovery of what we need. I'm not even talking about very specific things. And instead of us being like, hey, I need to look into counseling, let's start to look at the counselors. Instead of me saying, hey, I am really struggling with money management. Maybe I could look at some YouTube videos. Maybe I could take some courses. Maybe I need like a person to help teach me. We choose to stay willingly ignorant. And what is ignorance? Ignorance is you choosing to stay blind, you choosing to not really go into it, whether that's intentional or not. Like someone can say, hey, I really struggle with money budgeting. And if you are not getting help, you are not doing anything to actually start to find actively a solution, You're sabotaging. And I think that's actually a really sad, probably one of the saddest forms of self sabotage I see people do. They will literally identify the problem that they're having and do nothing about it. And if that's not victim, if that's not learned helplessness, if that's not you shining your unworthiness core issues, then I don't know what else it is. It could also be you are in that really extreme, I could say weak or wounded feminine mode where it's like, oh, I have this and I can't do anything, or I'm just going to sit there. That just probably means, okay, you're going to continue to fail and recreate that unless you start to get up and do something about it. So again, ignorance, it could be you not even pursuing anything. It could be you not wanting to learn more. You could just be you flat out being like, "Oh well." Or you could just I'll get into this a little bit later, but like you can even have opportunities to learn something, to do something different, and you still hold yourself back. It's like, for instance, if someone tells you, hey, you have self sabotaging patterns, or hey, again, you tend to um, you have a lot of doubt come over you. It's like it's one thing to be even able to identify what's going on, but you actually doing something and learning and oh my goodness, paying someone else to help you. When I see people who can't even cross to that, then it's like fine, you could stay in the land that you're at, don't complain and accept the results and consequences, and you'll probably already have less anxiety and stress. But again, when I see people say just stand in this ignorance land and do nothing, honestly, those are people I don't even typically work with because they don't even value themselves enough or have any kind of healthy, if I could say even like masculine energy to like step up and do something about it. So that was number one, choose to stay ignorant. And that's actually really sad when decades and decades and years go by and you're still complaining about the same land, the same issue, the same problem that plagued you since you identified it as a problem. The next one, number two, is you become stuck in excuse mode. So, how is this different than the first one where I said, stay ignorant? The first one just says, oh, I need this, and then you stop. You literally do nothing. The next one, you stay in excuse mode where everything and anything under the sun is the reason why you do not do anything. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. Who can I even reach out to? I hear this so much. And sometimes I'm just like, guys, you have a brain. Like hopefully you have the ability to get up and breathe. You have hands, you have feet. Like I've seen people who have less who do more with their life. And so when I hear, and I get this a lot, and this is where I've put up boundaries to just hone myself and protect myself from energy that just wants to continue to stay in their like problem land and have like their stress and anxiety. When I have people who talk to me or friends or people who DM me sometimes like, oh, I need a counselor, or I'm looking for a coach. I'm like, okay, wonderful. Like, what are you looking for? Here's what I offer. Or here are other professionals that might be good at what you're looking for. And anytime someone whips out, like, I don't know, um, I don't know if they're going to be as good as you. It's like, okay, well, if that's how you think, then you're right. No one's going to be as good as me. So then do you want to work with me together? Well, then this comes up. Oh, it's my schedule. It's this and that. And I'm a firm believer where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm a firm believer that like it just sometimes you just need to be creative and sometimes you get really tested how serious your intentions are about getting help and having breakthrough and investing in yourself when you are kind of limited and you have to figure it out. Like I've shared my story before. I got to a mode in my life I was feeling kind of stuck professionally and personal, love life stuff. I'm like, I'm stuck. And I'm not going to be ignorant about it. I've studied these topics so much. I need someone else to help me. Like I just know the next step is partnering with someone wiser, older, more mature, more experienced who can give me insight and keys. And when I decided, God, I'm ready. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to open myself up. I believe the person who needs to work with me, it will work out. I made my commitment. I found the finances. I found the time. I did the homework. There was nothing that was going to hold me back. And I wasn't going to blame, oh, I'm shy, or I don't have this or that, or this is too much. Nope. I made the decision. And the thing is, there's biblical kingdom principles that back it up. Like whatever you bring, it will be added to you. That's a kingdom principle. If you don't even have anything, like even that's going to be taken away. The other Bible principle is God gives grace to the humble. When you open up, like God, your Father, sees what you're coming with, do you not think He's not going to bless you with what you give? I mean, yeah, use your guys's judgment, screen different people, mentors, counselors, coaches you align yourself with, but listen, if you have this core belief of I'm not worthy or it's not going to happen or blah blah blah, then it doesn't even matter if literally the king or queen of the domain that you're looking help for, let's say it's relationships, money, business, you could have the king or queen of that domain come to you. And if you don't feel like you're ready, it's time, you're going to invest in yourself. Like, again, core belief. If you don't clean that stuff up, you're just going to disqualify and find another, I'm just going to be honest, dumb reason. And I'll say one more thing. It might sound like a rant, but I'm just like cleaning the stuff up of God's people, because when I see them pray and cry and pray and cry and cry and cry, I'm like, you're just sabotaging. Like, get up and get some help, do something. Because at this point, guys, no offense, sometimes I think these whiny, annoying prayers are just annoying when you can actually do something about it, because we're not just hearers of the word, we're doers of the word. And so when God starts to stir something in you, it probably means you got to do something about it. And so when I have like friends that are like, oh, I wish you could do counseling with me, who else is there? I'm like, look, there are people. I find my people all the time across the world if I have to. You can too. Make sure it's not a self-sabotaging behavior. Okay, enough of that. The next one is repeat hurtful cycles. I talk a little bit about, well, I talk way more about this in my Level Up course, so look into that. But when we have a history or a pattern of doing something unhealthy, please stop, take a break, and reflect what's going on. I think sometimes what happens is we aren't aware, like, wow, that's the second time this has happened, or the third time I've had this type of relationship. Or so I think in the beginning we're unaware. But I'm speaking to you now, if you sit down and you're like, I'm not getting results with this business stuff, romantic things, friendships, the same theme is I'm betrayed, or nothing ever works out, or I always get disappointed in the process, whatever the theme is, like I say, once, okay, whatever, twice, and okay, we're picking up some data, maybe coincidence, three times, this is a pattern, this is a cycle, this needs to be stopped. Um, when I see people repeat these cycles and they just again keep complaining, which kind of goes into that excuse mode, that's a problem, guys. That is self-sabotage. Hey, I feel like I'm always played. Hey, I feel like I get really cheated. Hey, I feel like I get really close to success and then like stuff happens, or I leave, or people change their mind. My question to you is, why do you keep putting yourself then through the same situation? Again, this is if you've already identified this pattern. Do you not have enough love and respect to yourself for you to stop repeating that pattern and putting yourself through that repeatedly? Anytime I've learned now, like I try to spin things positively. Anytime I hear anyone complain, this always happens to me. I'm like, boom, gold. This is data. What keeps happening? How do you keep on participating as the common denominator? What role do you keep on replaying? So when you see you are stuck in some kind of pattern, now's your time to stop and do something different and do something about it. As you guys can see, a lot of these points are hopefully connecting. So then that goes into the fourth pattern, or the fourth way we sabotage ourselves, and that's blame others. So it's like that example that I just gave, like, wow, the last 5 relationships I've been just It doesn't really, nothing happens past the third date. Or, in my business relationships, I always end up doing most of the work, and I feel like I'm micromanaging every time, or I'm just pulling most of the load, hauling most of the effort. So my response to that is, instead of you blaming other people, ask, how are you the, if I could say, the reciprocant of what's happening? How are you that opposite energy that's attracting whatever it is that you're not liking? It's so easy, and I think it's even safe. It feels safe to be like, it's him, it's her, they did it. Oh, right, they ghosted me again. And yep, that one, yep, it's always the church people, that blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, pause. What's your role in the equation? Because again, self-sabotage, it's a lot easier to be like, well, if she did this, and if she, him, he, her did all that, then this wouldn't be happening to me. My response is no. How are you participating in X, Y, and Z? Whether you don't have enough of like your own self-love, honor, you don't have healthy enough boundaries to protect yourself from those situations. And so again, I always look at it as, this is good news. This is encouraging. If you find out you are always the one who, okay, well, instead of blaming other people, girl, boy, why are we in this situation again to begin with? So the fifth way is, won't try new things. That is obviously, this is insanity cycle, because we talked about, like, when we repeat hurtful cycles and we don't do anything about it, that is us showing from self-hatred, that end of the extreme, to just this lack of just love and just disrespect, and us not thinking we're worthy enough for something healthy. That's what happens. And so when we won't try anything new, like, one of the reasons I got successful in, definitely, like, a lot of my personal areas of life, is anytime my coach would tell me to do something different, something new, my initial reaction was like, no, I don't want to. That feels scary. That's so different. That's weird. I've never done that. Da, 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 da. But at the same time, I knew what I was doing in the past, and everything I thought I maxed out to succeed, to find result, wasn't working. And so I was going to trust that God was using this girl to take me to the next, whether this was the solution or this is the step, the path that takes me to this. I firmly believed in, I got the results I did. And so when I'm working with clients and I offer them, like, sometimes we'll do active problem solving, which I've already learned. I don't tell you guys to do anything or without your guys' consent and participation. I have learned, if I want you guys to succeed more than I do, we're not a match. I'm gonna just exhaust myself, and that is you, possibly a client not thinking they're worthy enough to have some form of result, so they sabotage. So the thing is, like, I remember, like, at least in the past with, like, younger kids. Now I work with pretty amazing mature clients, but, like, I remember working with kids. Oh, I don't have any friends. I don't have friends. Complain, complain. Okay, have you thought of, let's create some problem solving, like, brainstorm together. Let's go for it. Have you tried to talk to the kids on the playground? No. Okay. Have you tried to play basketball with where all of those guys are playing, where you want to play with, like, who you want to be friends with? No. Okay. Like, no matter what example I would tell them, it's like, not only was it no, I haven't tried it, but the response was also no, and I'm not gonna. And I'm like, well, what do you expect? You're right. You don't have friends. And if you want to not have friends, continue to do what you're doing. So sometimes I'd have to pull that, like, just teach these kids, like, what is that? Like, this doesn't even logically make sense. And if I could actually explain it to kids, then I really hope I could bring awareness to just then even young adults, or, mature adults who can recognize, like, if you're not willing to do anything different, whether it's try to date differently, try to date different guys, try to do a different business strategy, try to dress up different. I mean, anything. It's this old box that's going to keep us in the same boxed up results. We want to have different results. We got to do something different and open up ourselves. So, moving on. Number 6, we end things prematurely. I've seen this so many times and I wanted to speak about it. Sometimes I see people Okay, let's use that kid as an example, very basic example. Okay, well, let's have you play, like, go out and meet new boys, when kids are playing during recess or whatever, during lunchtime, playing basketball. Why don't you do that? Like, there's a group of guys you think are kind of cool. Like, put yourself out there, like, be around that. So, okay, so let's say this guy comes out and like tries to play a game. And if the next time he's working with me, he's like, yeah, I did it a couple times, but it's not for me. What do you mean it's not for me? What happened? Did someone tell you to leave? No, I don't know, it just didn't feel right, like, I don't know if it's my thing, and then here goes the excuses again, and it's like, "Listen, it takes time to form a relationship, like, what happened?" And it's usually not because I'm not an amazing basketball player, and it's not because I wasn't chosen as team captain. It's none of that. It's usually I'm disqualifying myself because deep inside I don't feel worthy to even have friends, to have anyone that cares about me, because I actually don't wanna be seen, because I actually think I can make friends, but I don't feel like I'm worthy to be a friend and have anything good. Do you see how these core beliefs start to get activated? I see people do this prematurely a lot. Let's take something a little bit more serious. I remember working with a girl who her thing was like, I want to start to meet guys and she like started to date different guys, and I was so proud of her, and it was so good, and she was learning about herself, collecting data. No, I did not tell her, marry the next guy you see type of thing. It's like, no, go have fun and explore this territory and just see like who's out there. Like, it really is learning about yourself. And it's like she met a couple guys that she was kind of talking to. We call it rotational dating, talking to them on different apps. It was great. I feel good. Wow, this is kind of cool, like blah, blah, blah. And the next day it's like, yeah, I deleted everything. I'm like, why? What happened? um, you know. And again, like usually these people don't even have legit reasons, because that's how self-sabotage comes up. There's nothing logical. In fact, if we like wrote everything out, A to B to Z, connect the dots, like logically, we would not be sabotaging. But self-sabotage isn't logical. It's not rational. It's emotional. Something in our core belief gets activated where we don't feel worthy enough to show up and receive the blessings that we're asking for. And so I'm like, "Well, why did you delete your app?" You know, I don't know, right? No legit response because there's nothing logical, but sure enough, the more we dug, it was, I don't know, this is different than what I thought. That's that number 5 issue, won't try new things. This is not what I expected. It usually never works out. They're probably not even serious. Why are you making decisions for these guys? Did they tell you they're not serious? Or is it you're not serious about yourself showing up, shining, and being loved finally? Yes, I can get a little hardcore, but I do it out of so much love and compassion, and that's why my clients do get results. They, they if you here's the thing, it's not even really me. Yes, I'm good at what I do, but when you get serious about you experiencing results, you will invest yourself and show up in every way you need. Whether that's again you committing and having counseling lessons or sessions, coaching, whatever, whether that's you sitting with hard stuff and actually processing it to the end, whether you go out and try new things and keep trying until you receive it, like you have to get to a point where you say, I'm ready, let's do it. And that's this like, like manifest stuff that the Bible talks about, like renewing your mind, renewing, being a new creation, new, healing, cleansed to attract the life that you desire. And so when I see people end things prematurely, to me, it's like, dang, like, the thing is about the first one, stay ignorant. Like these people never even tried. They're judged for that. But when I see people who start doing it, and I'm so proud for them, and like that's the thing, like the renewal of your mind, reprogramming your brain, doing things different. That's so much effort and work, and I'm so proud of my people when they do that. And as soon as they wanna slip back and just disqualify and be dumb, be done, that is ultimate sabotage, because it's like, "Wow, you really started to invest, and something in you just could not handle that level of elevation where you just said, 'Never mind.'" And I'm going to dig a little bit more because especially with my counseling background, I've like really mastered calling this stuff out. I've talked about attachment theory many times. And what happens is when I see client like okay, so with counseling and coaching, I mean, it's just attachment theory. It's like person to person, right? My relationship with the client I'm working with is a little like in the room, in the session. I don't care if it's a Zoom box or my counseling office. Um, I see a little representation, a little picture of what usually happens in the bigger world and their life. And so how they show up or how they disqualify themselves or their excuses, X, Y, and Z, like the little behaviors, mannerisms, or the big ones that I see in session, I'm like, okay, I see what's coming up. Something's triggering, and if they're acting like this here, where I try to be that healthy, secure, grounded base for them. When I see them start to disqualify and do kind of rational things, because remember, sabotage is not rational, it's emotional. Oh, I don't know if you're probably disappointed in me. You probably think I'm embarrassing. You know what? Whatever excuse that comes up, I call it out immediately. And sometimes even before it happens, I will tell my kids, or I worked with a lot of high school kids, but I'll tell my clients, watch yourself when you start becoming successful, when you start to create results, when you start to elevate to a higher level, you will have the tendency to just pull back to the old because that's how the devil works. That's stronghold. That's, you can call it a habit in your brain. It just kind of wants to go back. And so I call it out right away. When I start to see you repeat a pattern, maybe, oh, you need to change your 50th counselor or coach. Pattern, what's going on? Or maybe you are starting to open up and that's so scary. So you want to retreat. Oh, okay. Again, you having a reason to just go back into the old, even though you are making success. I will just educate my clients like that tends to happen and that's okay because you get to practice to start to open up and shine and do new things. And again, shine, be vulnerable with someone, hopefully like myself, a secure attachment base who could give you the space to shine and to celebrate you or just be like, hey, what's going on here? Let's explore. You have some light shining on some little areas that need some help or healing. So anytime you start to do things different and you go back to the old, ask yourself what's going on. Is that self-sabotage? You going back to the old. And again, last but not least, number 7. This one is a sad one. Go back to the old. I said the last one, number 6, was pretty sad, end things prematurely before you even have something to have the ability, like it's like a pregnancy. It's like before it even has the ability to, you know, be birthed. And it's like, oh, this is so beautiful. You just end it, like abort it prematurely. That sometimes that's like a spirit behind that. Like you just end things prematurely. The number 7 to me is really sad. Go back to the old. It's because that is when something is kind of like let's say a root or a stronghold that's not been broken, or it tries to, like, the devil will try to pull you back. Let me give you some examples. This is when, let's say, I'll do dating and then business. This is when, let's say, in dating, I'm with a girl who has met a guy that is phenomenal, treats her heart just rejoices. She feels so loved and wooed and respected. And let's say she's been dating with him for a while. And it's like two things could possibly happen. Like, number one, something small gets triggered in her. Well, something gets triggered in her. Let's say it was something he said, or I don't know, he's just regular human being. Like, I don't know, I'm not gonna even like specify what could it, because it could be the most arbitrary, tiny little thing that triggers something in her, opens up her wounds. Because yes, we are like we remind ourselves we're a new creation. We're not going back to the old. It doesn't mean we never have a little bit of a sting, or stuff can still happen. Like, we're both humans, right? And the slightest, tiniest little thing comes up, and she just can't handle um this new. She can't handle, like, especially if, what was my number? 5 point, trying things new, especially if someone is actually like a different type of guy and he's actually really impressing you, but it's so different. It's almost like a little scary, like, oh, I'm not used to dating guys like this. And it doesn't even have to be anything bad. It's just like dating someone outside of your culture, dating someone who has a couple different opinions about something, dating someone who does church different than you, dating someone who does God different than you, dating someone who has different um hobbies, like whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Something different in his past, whatever. But when I see girls have like something so small that they could have shown up, this was their time. Remember that when I said that example between uh, my clients shining things and showing themselves and being vulnerable with me so that them as a person, as a nervous system, can practice like being themselves and tolerating conflict or just vulnerability or openness and communicate. It's like when I see a girl who doesn't do that with her guy and the smallest thing comes up, and she's like, instead of problem solving and overcoming that barrier because you guys already dated for a year and it's been awesome, and you just like break up and disqualify yourself like that, that's really sad. And that makes me really sad to see. Like, we do that sometimes. Like, you could be in a new church that you really enjoy. You could be stepping foot into a business where people are like, "Wow, you're doing so good," and you're not yet just seeing that breakthrough or the income or the specific clients yet. Like, that's when people just, like, for, like, little reasons, totally, like, just abort literally everything. That's like when they have the baby and it's, like, too young, too little. Instead of like maturing and raising and nurturing that baby. Like, we as humans are going from glory to glory. We're evolving. And so something else though, I was going to say that I see a client could be like, things are actually going really, really well. And if you don't heal and close up those wounds, you will start to get scared. Like, whether you call that anticipatory anxiety, things tend to go bad, or it's never been this good, or we just go back into our chaos because we're used to that. And that's when I see really good guys, girls say goodbye to good guys because I don't know, it's just I've never been treated like this, and they go back to, I don't want to say abusive because that sounds really big, but my point is if you go back to anything that treats you less than, that literally is you treating yourself less than. So I know that this other lady called it container issues. And she says sometimes we just get so blessed. It's like, I can't handle this. I'm not used to this. This is too much, too good. And our unworthiness and our core issues come up and we just all of it and go back. And so when we reach these higher levels of life, and it's like, this is your new, it can be good. Like, you get to saturate yourself in joy and rejoice and have fun. And when I see people just all of a sudden say, never mind, whatever, and for whatever reason, go back to the old friends, the old business ideas, the old unhealthy boyfriend, that to me is ultimate sabotage. It's like the Bible says, taste and see I'm good. And you're sitting here and feasting. And then all of a sudden, no reason, you just go back to breadcrumbs and stale bread. If that's not sabotage, then I don't know what else it is. So I hope you guys definitely enjoyed learning. This is my counseling coaching background, things I've seen with clients. And the more I pinpoint it in my life, like, this is what the conversation looks like in my life. What's that? Am I sabotaging myself? Oh, is that me not thinking I'm worthy enough? Is that me prematurely ending something? Is that me trying to blame someone for not experiencing what I want? Oh, what is that? Things are kind of going good. And I'm just gonna, instead of like rejoice and celebrate that heart feeling, I'm just gonna listen to what other people on this level are telling me to play it safe and pull back, and when what religion says. Those are all self-sabotage, and maybe there's a different spiritual word you could use for that. What would that be? Like, if I'd say the psych word is sabotage in Russian, or not Russian. The biblical word for me would just, maybe it's not in the Bible, but for me that would be that orphan spirit. negative core belief issues. You're struggling to believe that you are that worthy, healed, healthy, beautiful, abundant co-heirs with Christ, and we just like disqualify ourselves prematurely. So I would love if you guys drop some comments after you guys watch or the replay and tell me which one from 1 to 7, which one was the most interesting to learn, or which one you could like that's actually shining some light and you guys can watch for that. That'd be really cool. I love your guys' engagement. So, as always, this information is great. But if it was so easy for us to identify this with ourselves on our own, then we would not need other people to pinpoint it. And more than oftentimes, I hear people learn and learn and learn and learn and learn and still not take the next step to have someone finally shed light from their perspective. Again, that to me is sabotage. You know it's not working, so do something different. And that's where I do offer my counseling or coaching package. They're a little different. Counseling, I do really go deep. Coaching is kind of what's going on now. What do we need to fix so that you could really go higher? So check out the websites below. Check out my Instagram pages. Yes, I have courses. Get into it. Say no to sabotage. Maybe that should be my my hashtag. So let's do that, guys. Let's elevate. Let's not just wish for results. Let's just finally go for it and invest and pick ourselves and represent the kingdom. So God bless you all. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.